Welcome to our first Chapter 5 Season 3 video. Let me start this car guide off by saying, thank God the Reaper Sniper Rifle has been vaulted. Now, let's get into all the car changes because there are a lot. So, I want to start this off by talking about Nitro. Now, Nitro is something we're going to discuss a little bit more later, but it's just kind of like a new cool mechanic that really fuels, for lack of better terms, the way that we're going to be driving these cars around. So, take the Whiplash, the regular car that we've been using for the previous 2 seasons, and it basically was, standard, like you drive, consumes fuel, you want to boost, consumes more fuel, pretty standard. It was towards the end of the season that I was realizing that boosting is like really, unless you like need to get away from somebody, boosting was like a terrible deal because I feel like, say you're going from like point A to point B, you're driving like, say 100 meters. If you drive there normally, you would use, X amount of fuel. If you drive there boosting that full 100 meters, you would use like X times 3 that amount of fuel. Like it wasn't anywhere near fair. And like you would see dead cars lying around the map all the time. Now you never see a car lying around because the fuel efficiency has been increased dramatically, which is awesome. And the biggest thing that contributes to this as well is boosting is no longer consumed by just regular gas fuel. Now boosting is consumed by nitro. So nitro is awesome, and there is like, in addition to that, there is an item nitro which can give your car more kind of like, I don't really fully know how this works. This is just going to be part 1 of the guide, folks, because there's still more information I'm trying to figure out myself. This is only still, just day 2 of the season, or I guess 3 now you could say at the time of the recording, but we're still within like the first 72 hours of the season being out. So I don't know exactly how it works. I feel like you kind of bust through more structures easily when you have the nitro, and I know we'll talk about one other very important thing when you're in a car later when we're talking about combat. But nitro is awesome, and the SUV now also has nitro and gets a boost. So just like how the Whiplash had a boost before, now the SUV gets a boost, which is amazing. All right, for now, we're not talking about my opinion on any of this stuff. We're just talking about the facts of it all. So car health has been increased. The car health is like roughly 1.5 times or so what it was before. The old car health was 800 HP, and the new car health is 1360. This is just for a default Whiplash. The old SUV HP was 1050 HP, 1050, and the new SUV HP is 1785. So little more than 50% on some of these numbers. Probably like maybe like 66%, 70%. There are boss cars, boss SUVs, and a battle bus. The boss car has, I've seen varying numbers. Now, I don't know when I signed on today to look at my game if like they've updated it at all, because I've heard higher numbers and I've heard slightly lower numbers. But right now, the boss cars, just the Whiplash version, is about 1600, we'll say. I had 1615. I've seen some people with 1700. So let's just say around the 16 to 1700 range. The boss SUV, of which there's only one, has 2250 HP, which is nuts. And then the battle bus has 2260. So that's crazy too, but the battle bus is very slow. So it's not as, and it doesn't have a boost like these other 2 cars do. That's just about HP. We will talk more about these boss cars later. Now, a very important buff that the SUV received that I have not heard anyone talking about yet is that the back windows have been armor plated, meaning you can no longer be shot through the back of the vehicle when you're driving away from someone. And this is a critical change in the SUV's design and has dramatically increased how safe you are when driving one. On screen, I will be showing the difference between the old SUV and the new SUV. So just look for the back windows and look compared to the new back windows. You cannot shoot through them whatsoever. I've tried. And I don't have any stats to prove it, but the handling overall of both cars just feels better as well, on and off-road especially with the Whiplash off-road. That's what I've noticed the biggest improvement on. No longer am I like barely able to climb hills and I'll have my car rolling backwards as it would do so often in the previous couple of seasons. They really improved the handling of these vehicles, and these are just the changes from the old cars to the new ones. Now let's talk about all the new toys that they gave vehicles. There are currently 6 car mods on the map. We have the cow catcher, which destroys everything. All right, and I'm just gonna put this here because I don't really know where else to talk about it, but the cow catcher is actually crazy. So I'm gonna post this clip right now where my car gets kind of stuck, and so I found a pair of gloves. I'm just kind of like testing things throughout the map right now. It's not a real game, just a private game, and I used the fist to unstick my car, just punch it a couple times, and I noticed something that I had noticed before when driving, that the car still destroyed structures by the momentum of the fist itself. So if you watch here, like I'm punching around, punching, and the car is destroying stuff. And then I actually go to test this and I switch I get 2 cars, I put a spiked bumper on one and a cow catcher on another, just because I want to see, is it really the momentum and the weight of the car doing this, or is it really the cow catcher? And turns out, as you can see, it really is the cow catcher. I initially noticed this when I was driving backward. I noticed that driving backwards with the cow catcher still allows you to destroy stuff, which doesn't make any sense because the cow catcher is on the front. But it made me realize that the effect of it is not that you can hit things more easily from the front to destroy them. It makes the car itself just like a complete destruction magnet. I mean, it really is fitting that we don't have fencing fields anymore, because man, I would love to destroy fencing fields right now with these things, man, after all the trouble that those little trees gave me the last couple of seasons. So yeah, cow catcher is actually insane, and you can even just like, if you're watching the background footage, I can drift and just the side of the car will destroy things with the cow catcher. So very, very cool item. The spiked bumper, which deals massive damage to players when you hit them. Bulletproof tires, which are tires that can't be shot out. Off-road tires, which can be shot out, but the off-road handling of vehicles becomes much better, and you can climb vertically even higher than before. Think airbending and how steep of hills you could climb with that. The machine gun turret, which is like a minigun on the front of the passenger seat. Not front of the passenger seat, it's on the top of the passenger seat, I should say. And then a grenade launcher, which is on the top of the passenger seat. Now, these are found in crates that spawn near roads throughout the map, and when you equip them, you just simply drive over them. Kind of gives me like Mario Kart vibes, but you know, they're not random boxes, like you just drive over them to equip them. Very simple, no gold required. Makes me kind of a little salty about weapon mods, because weapon mods could have been a lot simpler too. Like, you know, you don't have to go to a car bench and install these. It would have been, that's what I was expecting, honestly. So these are much, much easier to actually implement into your gameplay. And all of these mod boxes will respawn as well. So I didn't count, but they seem to be on like roughly like a 20 to 30 second cooldown. And in addition to these mods, you also have repair boxes, which will heal your vehicle back to perfect, giving it complete HP, refilling the fuel back to 100%, and repairing any damaged windows or tires instantly, which is just completely busted. This is something that we could have used a lot these last couple of seasons. You'll also find spread throughout the map what I like to call pit stops, and they're basically marked by the color green. I've noticed these kind of pea pod looking markers, and you'll also find the wacky, waving, flailing, inflatable arm tube men, and there may be others out there, but they tend to have something, you know, that will help you, either like mods or repairs or something like that. Also, even better than that, the map has been scattered with service stations all around, and these will be marked by a like gas pump and a wrench icon, and when you pull into them, they have this sort of like wireless charging pad, is how I like to describe it, for your vehicle, and as soon as you ride over it, you repair all of your tires and windows, and the longer you sit on it, the more HP and gas you will replenish. These are really quick for healing your car. It only takes about 10 seconds to go from zero-ish, you know, like really low HP, to completely full. Not as instant as a repair box, but you can use them over and over again with no cooldown, which is really nice. And what I found myself doing when kind of utilizing these, say I pull up to a POI that I haven't been to before that has one of these stations, like a little gas station. If I'm not being chased and, you know, I'm just trying to loot up, what I'll do is I'll park my car on the repair pad, and then I'll go around and I'll pick up everything that I need, and then by the time I go back to the car, it's fully ready to go. Then also spread throughout the map are these kind of like boost rings that you can drive through and you'll get launched. They're really good, but if someone's chasing you in a car as well, they're just going to use it too, so it doesn't really give you a huge advantage unless you're just trying to escape someone who's on foot and only has like gloves or shockwaves. Okay, so these are all the customizable kind of personal vehicles that we can use, and all the most important details about them. Sorry if I forgot something, it's still brand new into the season, and like I said before, we'll be making part 2 and maybe even a part 3 to this guide later on. But now let's talk about the big boys. Let's talk about the boss vehicles that you can get from the medallion POIs or from the mobile convoy. So I couldn't figure out what to call them yesterday when we were streaming. We were calling them mythic cars, medallion cars, boss cars. I like boss cars, so that's what I'm going to go with for now. These things are busted, and they are the first thing that I will ask Epic to please nerf in the current season. In fact, the more I think about it, it's nearly guaranteed they will be nerfed, as newer players are going to have an extremely hard time dealing with these vehicles. They kind of remind me of the Chapter 5 Season 1 medallions upon first release, completely busted, completely insane, and received a nerf pretty quickly. Same with the sniper rifle, received a nerf pretty quickly, you know, a few weeks into it. So So, luckily you don't need to hear me complain about the snipers anymore, but now we have a few cars that do reign supreme over the rest. And the reason why these are so good is because of their infinite gas, infinite nitro, and infinite healing, coupled with a hidden ability that I haven't heard anyone talking about yet. So gas isn't the biggest thing right now, given how they've reduced the consumption dramatically, so that's whatever. Nitro is where it starts to get a little crazy, as you really never have to stop boosting. I mean, like, there's a slight cooldown, but with nitro, you actually get your boost back just quicker. You get your stamina back quicker. So, but that's not the crazy thing. The most insane feature about these cars is their ability to self-heal. So I've tested it a few times, and my basic understanding of it is if the car is damaged, it will take a bit, maybe 5 seconds or so for it to start healing, but the healing will start to take back slowly. The less health the car has, the more time it has to heal, and the healing process does speed up. So for example, to heal a car from say 75% to full HP might take like 30 seconds or so, but to heal it from 20% to full HP might be only around a minute, because it really starts to ramp up. It starts off at like, I think 15 HP per tick, and then it goes up to like 50 at the very end, or maybe even 60. I didn't really get to count because it goes very quickly. And now I want to talk about the hidden feature of these cars, which is why I feel like they are so difficult to deal with. Normally when you're driving around, you kind of have to be very careful of your terrain, especially for shrubs, bushes, rocks, little things like this that you can get stuck on, or that you can that can cause your car to flip over. This has been a very common thing that we've been experiencing in the first couple of seasons. These boss cars are near impossible to flip over, meaning if a players are, they're never going to lose them just to bad driving. I legit, like, on the screen right now, I will try to have some of the footage that I did when testing this, but I tried in a private game to just drive around and just flip a car. I tried to get this car flipped. I got the car on the side, and then it flipped itself back over. I got the car mid-air, completely upside down. It flips itself over before you can hit the ground. I got the car completely upside down on the ground. It flipped itself right over. I've gotten the car completely upside down numerous times, and it would just flip itself back over. And then finally, I was able to flip it. Until I was able to flip it, I was driving around for like 10 minutes, and I legit thought that there was like some kind of like gyro auto balancing mechanic that was like built into the car that like just would not let it actually flip over. But these boss cars do not behave like normal cars. Even normal cars are harder to flip this season, but these boss cars legit have like something inside them that makes it way harder to flip. Like, Epic does not want you to lose them over nothing, clearly. So the boss cars are a problem right now. They're really busted. Absolute biggest thing you have to worry about when playing the game. There isn't a definitive counter at the time of this recording for the cars that simply isn't another car of your own when fighting your opponent. And I personally never really loved games where the vehicle kind of reigned supreme and like the infantry base character had like little to no answer to dealing with them. But that is kind of the current state of the meta. I am hoping that the harpoon gun that was teased in the trailer will be a solid option to deal with these vehicles in the future. But let's talk about other options that we do currently have. So car versus car. Use nitro for a 50% boost in your rate of fire on both the machine gun and grenade launcher turret. So you can get nitro two ways. One, we have the consumable item that you can just carry, and then we have these like nitro tanks spread throughout the map that you can just hit. And if you're fighting another car, nitro doesn't last very long. I think it's about 10 seconds or so, maybe 15. I'm not sure. I didn't count that either. It's still very early. Sorry, guys. And if you can get into a fight with another car where you have the advantage, then you are going to be likely to kill them, because 50% is huge. And this only applies to the turret. It doesn't apply to any other guns or anything like that. So get nitro, shoot at your opponent, and you can try to blow their car up before they blow you up. Also, when you're shooting at your opponent, try to shoot at your opponent themselves. If they're in the driver's seat driving at you, shoot through the windshield or window side and just try to shoot the person, not the car. Same thing with the turret. If they're in the turret side shooting at you, try to shoot the passenger side of the car, either through the windshield or through the window, and just try to kill the person much quicker and easier than destroying the whole car. The number one skill that you have to get good at right now is, if you're playing solos, like basically everything we've been talking about so far has been like for solo gameplay. We'll probably talk more about team gameplay in part 2. But if you are the driver, you must be utilizing seat swapping and shooting your turret. So you drive, you swap seats, you ADS, you shoot your turret while you're maintaining the momentum of your, just the roll of the car. If you're being shot at, versus a car, I would try to get in their car if possible. Then from the passenger seat, you can ADS and kind of aim at the hood of the car and just shoot down and try to blow it up. What I recommend doing is, say, shoot the car down to like until it has like 100 HP left, like just a sliver of health left, then get out of the car, let it roll is, you know, a few feet, a couple meters, you know, whatever, and then blow it up from there, creating a little bit of distance between you and your opponent, and that way they take the damage from the car exploding, not you. So it's just, there's a lot of nuance right now that comes with playing around cars and people driving up to you and you trying to kill people as well, because they're going to be trying to do this to you as well. You drive up to someone, they're going to be trying to get into your car as well, so just be ready for it. Basically, always be ready to swap seats. Always be ready to swap seats, because say when you do this whole blow up the car thing, you never know if the enemy who's driving the car is just going to get out of the car. So if, say they try to like drive you into storm or something, that's like a pretty common tactic. You're blowing their car up, you can just then switch seats immediately and then boost out, take their car. It's going to self-heal, just separate for about 30 seconds to a minute, maybe find a repair, find a healing station, and then you have the car, you have the advantage. So there's a lot of different little things that we have to try and do right now. If you're driving and you need some quick heals, the new Slurp Cactus will give you 30 HP to yourself, even if you're inside the car, and it will heal the car itself 150 HP. Also, if you're in a car and you are trying to like kill a person who's not in a car, the spiked bumper attachment deals a lot of damage, and the faster you're going depends on how much damage you can do. I think I've seen the car do like over 150 damage before if it's going full speed and you hit somebody, and it feels a lot harder to dodge cars right now. Just don't get hit by a car. if you've been watching the stream, just don't get hit, okay? But that's like my tip right there, is try to hit people and try not to get hit, because cars are not doing just 50 damage anymore like they were before. They're doing a lot more than 50 damage, especially if they have the spike bumper. And those are just some general tips that we kind of had. Here's some more niche ideas that will require a little more skill, since it's going to depend on beating a boss to get one of the items or, you know, pieces of equipment. So the Mythic Combat AR is busted. It does 25 damage per bullet, has an 8.8 rate of fire, and a 28 bullet magazine. This thing absolutely shreds and can destroy even the tankiest of cars. There is a Nitro Medallion, which gives you infinite nitro, which is great with any weapon because it gives you a faster reload time, meaning you can put a drum magazine on, say, a Warforged and just keep ripping away. So those two things are amazing off the bat. Then there's an infinite ammo medallion, which is great for spamming kind of anything that you have that can just, you know, high rate of fire, or maybe with some explosive damage with the crossbow. So getting maybe the crossbow, and you get the mythic crossbow and the infinite ammo medallion from the Thunderdome, and that is a good way to deal with cars in and of itself. You get 5 shots out of that thing, infinite ammo, quick reload. It can deal a lot of damage, I think 250, 240 to a car for one shot, so does pretty good work on vehicles. Also, don't sleep on the Enforcer AR. This came back from Chapter 5 Season 1, and it's actually not a bad state. It does pretty good damage, decent rate of fire. Put a sight on it, and you can hit cars from a decent distance and not actually, you know, be kind of vulnerable to the machine gun turret. And yeah, so try the Enforcer AR with maybe like a little bit of nitro and a drum mag could be a pretty good answer to a car right now. And the gloves also can be a counter. I don't really have a lot of kind of situations with this myself that I've used it in, but I have seen the uppercut can really kind of like punch a car away. So if they get close to you and you have the gloves, or if you want to boost onto them and then uppercut them away, I have seen that people do that into Storm, or you can just use it to have them get away from you. So you're not going to damage a car very much with the gloves, but you can use it for kind of repositioning them. And there is a lot more that I can go over, but this has already been a long video, and I think I've given y'all enough to work with to start the season. Cars dominate the meta. Either you mod your own, acquire a boss car, or do everything in your power to not get sprayed down by utilizing the new mobility that the season has to offer. This is the first few weeks where we're still only working with an incomplete loot pool. My theory is Epic removed the EMPs, Anvil Launcher, and wanted to make cars extremely OP so that we feel forced to use them ourselves as a means to get used to them. Then they're going to release a counter to the cars, and we will have more ways to deal with it, and from there we can hopefully develop some kind of rock, paper, scissors meta, because right now it's all rock and cars are the rock. So if you made it this far, please leave a like, comment down below your tips on how to fight with or against cars, and consider subbing so you don't miss any uploads. Discord link is in the description. Join our community today. We stream all the time, and that's the best way to get notified of when we're going to go live. Thank you so much. Love you all, and we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.